Good morning, everyone. It's Goose from the Wise Wealth Discord, coming at you on a Monday morning, trying to give you guys a little update on what we're looking at, how price ended up playing out last week with some of the calls and levels that we were looking at. We're going to start here with the SPY. Just going to move the daily or the 4 hour, the daily, just to back it up a little bit. We still are ranging. I remember Jimmy had posted during the week that it's just kind of a basing day and period, is like just be a little bit more patient. There is a gap below, obviously, and then there's obviously blue skies above as well. Sitting at all-time highs still, just basing it, which is good, very bullish, just like a lot of the other times. Base. I mean, it might have fallen through, but basing here, it ends up breaking higher. And it's like, if it goes sideways, that doesn't mean it's bearish. It doesn't mean, oh, let's short everything, it's going sideways. No. We continue to keep going and following the trend, and it is continuing to go higher. It's starting to diverge a little bit here, where it is breaking above that divergence level, but the overbought levels are starting to get up there. So I kind of like cautiously bullish, as I'm aware that the trend is still bullish and everything hasn't really started in a downtrend above all major moving averages, short-term moving averages. Those are things that you want to see in order to keep momentum going. But also when you start to see, divergences more on the weekly and you start to see overbought territories, these huge green candles, it's hard to like want to go all in on calls, but there's still always moves intradays. That's why we usually break down to the 15-minute. But even on the 15-minute, you could see it's just going sideways. There's not really an up or down direction. So for SPY, I would like to see it above all-time highs at 545, somewhere around there. 544.12 is 52-week range. So above that, there's still blue skies and can go. There's a decent amount of volume at close, as you can see. The spikes are usually pretty green as of lately. You don't want to see big sells on spikes. And the ending on Friday was pretty decent from SPY, so that's good for the bull side of things. Q is just inching higher. It's a very slow grind up. It is going up. It's not necessarily sideways, but it's very slow. As you can see, quite a bit of red, just as much green is in there. You could label it as kind of like a rising wedge situation, that it's like if it does fall below, you might get a decent short to the bottom of the range at 471. If that doesn't hold, then you would expect the gap to be filled right below it at 468, but it looks like it could be trying to break out this morning. I mean, my thumbnail for the video is AI. It's been pretty remarkable, the run in the bull market that it's created since, NVIDIA started catching steam with the whole AI movement. So we just got to keep a close eye on it. I remember I went and hung out with Jimmy and we were having dinner, and he was just explaining that, like, you can't, you know, be afraid of a bull market because it could just continue to keep going. It's like you don't, there's, not, it's, the market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. The big quote, and it's so true, is like, it's still continuing to keep going as people are like expecting a recession, but AI is just such a big thing and people are so hyped around it that it's pushing the Qs higher, it's pushing the SPY higher. Apple started announcing AI. I mean, we're talking $2-3 trillion companies that are moving, 12% in a day. So it is starting to be a crazy run, and it's like you don't want to just be the guy that is shorting it the whole way up either. You want to just continue to keep riding the wave, and when you see them all structurally sound, structurally, looking good, a few stocks are looking weaker than others, of course, like Tesla and AMD, but most of these stocks are just all-time highs and just consolidating. So it's like same thing I was saying last week, is there's no reason to get bearish if the charts aren't really showing you anything. I have a rising wedge drawn on QQQ, but if it doesn't break below, then nothing really is bearish about it. And if we do start to get bearish, I could see 471 being a support. If not, go fill the gap, 468. Because pullbacks happen, 2 to 5% pullbacks. They are a thing that do happen, and it's healthy for the market to do that. It's never just going to go straight up or straight down or anything like that. When it goes down, people swear it goes straight down, but it's just a faster process. Usually a drop is and a sell off, takes the elevator down and then the stairs up. So as we're inching higher, obviously it's going to be slower than if we break this rising wedge. It's going to be like a day or two. It's just going to drop fast. So shorts, you typically, if you are going to take them, you want to be in a very short like mindset on it. You're not trying to hold for like 2 months unless we're in a possible bear market. But you don't get those bear market signals unless you change it to like the weekly and stuff like that. Once we got under the 200 on the weekly, then we started getting a pretty solid bear market. But as you can see, we're above the 200, had that correction in 2023, popped off, had another correction that time when everyone was getting fearful and stuff. And all it was just a test of the previous all-time highs, which needed to happen. Took one full week, and boom, we just snatched it up, and bulls continue to keep going. That candle right there is pretty absurd. That is wild. So it's like it's going to be low volume, so it's hard to tell if there will be a pullback this week, but it's always a possibility as the days start getting shorter, and that is a possibility. I start to see it a little bit more in my videos, just to err on the side of caution when you start to see things get super overbought. But SPY, like I said, above 544 will be big. Below 530, 540, 539, 540. You can see the gap filled to 537. IWM's been the weakest because interest rate cuts still haven't happened, and a lot of people were expecting them. If they do come down, I'm either seeing 194 or the 200 EMA. The 200 would be a big level to test and hold, but they're still in a pretty good channel. I don't see them going much lower than the 194, and the 200 is right in confluence with it. So if I were looking to go long on IWM, it would be somewhere around there, the 191, 194 area. As long as it starts to build, a higher high and a higher low from that point, then that's when I would start to get a little bit more confluence. But right now it is struggling. It hasn't really created a higher high in a while. It's just trying to see if it could hold this higher low with this level right here. So IWM, just kind of maybe stay away from longs. Qs, same thing that I was explaining with the rising wedge. It's like if it breaks above, it's super bullish. It can keep going, blue skies. If it does start to show weakness, 477, 478, start to lose that rising wedge. And we've seen some good rising wedges play out for shorts. It's just a quick little dump, and it probably will go right to 470. So there are positions and setups still there. Bitcoin, it's still consolidating. I know last week I was getting pretty bullish on it because it was getting close to breaking out. It had the beautiful U shape that I love to see. That's one of my favorite ones, but didn't end up playing out. It got denied, and I never did end up getting in coin and stuff like that. So that's the patient level that you kind of need as a trader. It took 3 days that it was consolidating up here, and it never did break out, and it's kind of getting denied from that top area. So now we're just waiting to see if it comes all the way down here to 60,000. That'd be a great point to be buying again because it's just in range. It's just sideways, but if it is sideways, typically you want to buy low. As everyone knows, buy low, sell high. So be careful of these levels up here for the false breakouts and denials. You want to be sure, you want to start seeing it make a higher high. It never quite got there. Got denied at the same level, 1, 2, 3. So it's like you're seeing repetitive, history of a point where there's supply and demand. It's basically what a chart's showing you. Apple, they had a massive week last week. Jimmy and I have been eyeing them for a while. They got above that 200 after the earnings. They were basing, broke out of it, came back, retested it, and then just gone. Just absolutely monster. That's part of the reason the clip, my thumbnail on the video is AI, because that type of move in the top 3 biggest companies in history so far, it's like that's a huge move. 13%. Same with Nvidia. Nvidia just kept going higher and higher and higher. And AI is here, guys. Like I do know that everyone is preaching it's like a bubble, or it's like the .com bubble, but you can't deny that AI is going to revolutionize a lot of technology and speed of businesses, just like in internet. It's the things that should worry you about the bubble effect is the companies that aren't showing profitability in the AI sector, but they're preaching it. So that's where you get the bubble vibes, is their PE ratios will start to go up, but you'll see Nvidia's earnings continue to beat. They're saying that demand is flowing in, but they're backing it up. Then you have like not that AMD is doing terrible, but you see that they're not as big of a beat. They might miss or, barely hit. They're not growing in a, horizontal fashion. Then their stock price is going to reflect that. They're not going to look as strong. But the ones that are beating, like Nvidia, ARM, MU, Google, like they're starting to preach AI and they're beating and going up, and that's why their stock is reflecting that. So it's like the bubble vibe would be when you see Nvidia losing earnings, they're missing it, not hitting, and then their stock continues to go up. Then people are just on hopium, and it's not actual like reflection of what the company's worth and what they're making. So that's just like a little, you know, macro side of things where you want to pay attention to what their earnings are and if it's continuing to keep growing and stuff like that. Because if you're not having good earnings but your stock is still going up, then there's definitely a disconnect. Netflix was a great one last week that sniped perfectly. I made a decent amount of money off the break. I think I might go long again. I just want to see if this flag actually plays out. It says right now it's consolidating. That's like 5 hours of time. It's not like a crazy play, but it's a nice little tight range that we got on the break above, just mounting it. So it's like when it goes sideways, you just want to see, make sure that there's continued movement. 700 was my price target in the longer term. So we'll see if it can go touch all-time highs right there. It's very, very close, and it finally had this break, so I'd assume at some point 700's hit. Nothing's guaranteed in the market, but 700 would be my price target. If broken above, blue skies above, that'd be beautiful. AMD, it's been in this downtrend for a while. It's been kind of struggling too, because as you can see, it's breaking out of this sideways momentum. Just trying to build something here. If it doesn't break it here, then I could see this gap below at 153 being filled. I'm just waiting to see. I haven't really been too bullish on AMD. I did when they broke out originally. Thought they were just going to coil up and go higher. Never quite happened. Google, same thing, basing, sideways action. And it's like it gives us these nice plays that we could play. Nice little coil up action on the 4 hour with Google. Just pushed right up into it, 180. That would be a beautiful break and base right there if that happens. Amazon, it did finally break its little falling wedge that it had. Came back, it's kind of retesting it. So I would like to see them hold the 180 area. If they don't come back and hold this level right here, 180, then it could get, a little dicey and start to drop below with another one. Because you have a slight left shoulder, head, right shoulder. It's not beautiful, and like I'm not really bearish on the market, but it could definitely come down and test the 174 area. You could see a solid amount of support right there. It could definitely come down here with this resistance up here if sellers want to push it down. But like I said, my first area of support would be 180. I don't think you would have to panic there. Then you can kind of start a little bit of an uptrend with the breakout. Start something like that where it starts going. Like Apple. Apple had that W shape on their bigger time frame. Finally broke above, and it's like that's a huge break because it's avoiding the head and shoulders pattern or a triple top, and the bulls just took absolute control. Microsoft, another beauty, breaking above. It's been ranging and basing for a long time. So this is a big break. If we do have the sell back or the pullback, 433 would be a great level to be getting in on calls. I went over Nvidia, Tesla, still weak, man. It's just like, every time it's so frustrating because you want it to do well, but it's just not really very tradable right now. Still sideways, still in this range. Finally broke out above after the whole pay package deal with Elon Musk. He got his money and came right back down. So there's not really much of a play on Tesla, unfortunately. And a lot of other stocks are just kind of in consolidation mode. With the week being short, I wouldn't be surprised. We have the Empire State Manufacturing that already came out. It's -6 actual, so I guess is a little bit better than forecasted. Still -6 though, terrible. Our manufacturing data has been awful. Core retail sales tomorrow, retail sales month over month tomorrow. We have a few speakers tomorrow as well. That could, it's a yellow folder. Unless they say it's something crazy, I don't think it'll move it too much. Wednesday, June 19th, it will not be open due to the holiday of June 19th. It's a big holiday now, so will be closed. Then we'll start back up Thursday morning, an hour before open, with unemployment claims. We have more Fed members, flash manufacturing, flash service PMI. So it's a very slow week. Those aren't really major things. I know they show red folders for some of them, but they probably won't move it too drastically. It's just kind of a low volume week. See what happens and what ranges are broken. But still sideways here on Tesla. Meta's looking good. We're in an uptrend on Meta. Could come back and pull back with this trend that it's starting here. And if it does, you would like to see the 480 because this was previous resistance, and this right here would be holding the uptrend, making a higher low, and you would want it to see go make a higher high. So Meta above 515 can keep going. Below 482 would keep selling. 481 it would sell. So it's like I'm just watching these in range, just continue to watch these levels. Google, we already went over beautiful base right now on Google, looking to push above 180. Netflix is already breaking out. You just want it to see that tight range that it has, that consolidation. As long as it can hold like the, I don't know, 669, 670 area. That's kind of a tight range too. It could like flag a little bit lower and then, start something like this all the way down. We'll see. I'm not really too big on anything right now. Airbnb is holding the 200 EMA. If it can get above the 150, that could be a big one. The one company that I've been covering a lot more is DG. That was some that I bought some commons in. They did break below the 200, so technically they're not amazing, but I've always heard good things about them if recessions are close, and they've had a pretty big sell-off, so it's part of the reason I'm getting it now, just because I feel like the sell-off down to 100 is pretty steep. It could continue to keep going, but it is common shares, so it's like I won't lose that much, maybe 10-20%. And it's enough that I'm willing to lose. But if it does, 67 in the longer term, but above 180, it could start ripping towards all-time highs because it has not much liquidity here. So we'll see if it does play out well, but I'm looking for a decent trade. It would be like a 40% gain right there at the 180 would be my first take profit. Above that, I would be looking more for like the 220s, 200 level. So we'll see. We'll see. Coin, it's just taking some time. I showed you Bitcoin earlier. It's in consolidation mode. So it's like we're still kind of sideways and getting messy here. It is looking strong though. If you look at this, like this is previous resistance, denied, 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 denied. Finally made it above, and these wicks right here, they may seem insignificant, but it's catching that price point. And it's like, maybe the bulls start to take that and run with it, and it won't go below that. And then if Bitcoin does start to shape up, that's when you can see the 300 push. It wasn't as fast as I thought it was going to be. Snap consolidating at the top of the wedge. It's in phase one still, so I do expect it if it does get above $17, $18 to run pretty heavily. Huge gap above, and then just the wouldn't say undervalued, but at the lows of its stock. So it's like people will like to catch that and ride it up, see if it could start squeezing those shorts out. I haven't covered DraftKings in a while. They started to get a little bearish because they lost their big uptrend, and then they were below the 200. Finally getting back above, so that's a bullish thing. So it could continue to be careful of the $45 range. DraftKings would be a good place to be getting in on longs if you believed in them, because usually football season they start to perform a little bit better. There's Hood. Jimmy's been in that. I'll be on top of that one for technical analysis wise. I'm not sure if he's been in shares or comments, but there's that phase one that I'm talking about, and it's finally had its big breaks, and it's probably just going to continue to keep going. Could go towards all-time highs. They're relying on Bitcoin as well, so like Coin and Hood and stuff, and Bitcoin itself. Once Bitcoin starts to go, it should be a good one. But honestly, that's probably about it. Baba was one that did finally start to break out. I needed them to hold 80, but they're just fucking, sorry to cuss, but they're just losing everything, man. They finally breached over the 200, trying to hold it. Nope, 3 gap downs in a row. Just selling it off like crazy. So be careful of Chinese stocks, man. I'm still holding long, still have the shares on them. have probably like 170 shares of Baba. So we'll see what happens, man. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. SMCI is finally bull flagging up towards the upside. Just waiting for a lot of these. As you can see, a lot of them are still in consolidation mode, so I haven't been too on top of anything. MU is breaking above. I don't know what news or upgrade they had, but 3% is highest one I saw this morning. Dell is doing decent, so chips could lead today. MU is just going to go for higher highs just because it's been such a juggernaut of a stock. This is absolutely incredible. That straight upness is just wild. How far it is from the 200 EMA is just astonishing. But we continue to play our levels. We don't want to, preach to go short, but I'm always aware that when you see this many green weeks in a row and this strong, eventually, it hits itself and it has a little pullback or a few days where it's at least consolidating. And right now with this consolidation in a lot of major stocks, like there's no reason to just get in on something just because like I'll go a whole week or two without trading if there's no great setups. Apple was a great setup last week. Nvidia was a solid setup last week. Meta was decent. So it's like there's still stocks that go up and do things during the week, but overall it's been kind of sideways. So just waiting to see. It's a low volume week, but good luck everyone. Let's have a great week, and I'll be sure to keep posting in the Wise Wealth Discord.